This is Rogers TV.
Hello and welcome to this special edition COVID-19 Rogers TV program that introduces you to community services and responses during this COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Carol Merton, and before I welcome our guests today, those of you who watch the program know that I like to say a few words of thank you at the very beginning. You've probably heard me thank our frontline workers, certainly our medical officer of health and the public health unit staff, delivery truck drivers, our cashiers, a variety of frontline people, including our healthcare providers. And we're going to be talking more about those in a little bit later in this program. But today, I would like to read an excerpt from a letter that was sent by an author, Alison Wines. And this letter actually came to me through Francesca Dobbin, who is the executive director of the United Way, Bruce and Gray. So I'm just going to excerpt a little bit from the letter because it certainly touched me. And at the very end, I'd just like to express a few words. So here it is. There is an invisible group of people who aren't being recognized, who are working intensely to keep the world turning, to make sure that those on the front lines have the support that they need, and to make sure that those at home have something to go back to when we get to the other side. Who are you? You're the HR teams working 80-hour weeks to start workforce planning from scratch, redeploying team members and trying to think of something, anything, to preserve jobs. You're the CEOs of charities writing new budgets so you can keep helping the world with funding that has evaporated overnight. You're accountants and bankers restructuring finances and debt to help small businesses stay afloat. You're trade managers negotiating frantically to get hand sanitizers and face masks back into the country. You're consultants who are supporting clients through massive change, unsure if you'll get paid for what you do when it's all over, but doing it anyway because it matters. Your hospital administrators running payroll for the nurse that just clocked 30 hours of overtime. Your communicators trying to find the words to explain a crisis the likes of which have never been seen, to your organization staff and to your community. So to all of you and so many more, I want to say you are not invisible. Our message back to you is this: your contributions are greatly appreciated, and we send to you a most heartfelt and sincere thank you for what you are doing. And on that note, I'm also going to thank and welcome two guests to the program who are also going to tell us about an amazing initiative that they are undertaking to help our community. So I have with me Miranda Miller and Nicole, Egan. And their initiative, which we're going to discuss more, is called Fueling the Frontline Healthcare Workers. So welcome to both of you. And I'm wondering if you can just tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then definitely all about this initiative and how the community can help you. So welcome both. Who wants to go first?
Definitely Miranda. Definitely Miranda.
Okay.
I'll start. I'm Miranda Miller. I work online. So when a nurse first came to me, Patty Ansell, who works in Emerge, I believe in Meaford, and said, do you think there's something we could do to support healthcare workers and also maybe generate some revenue for local restaurants who are really hurting right now? At first, this was in March when she brought this to me, and I thought, I don't know, right now, everything was just evolving and kind of going crazy and heading into lockdown. But we sort of thought about it and tossed some ideas around, and then just sort of serendipitously saw on CTV News there was a feature about some medical students who were not able to do their practical work. So they put together this program where they were raising money to buy meals from restaurants and then coordinating deliveries to frontline healthcare workers. And seeing that already in practice and fairly successful, we thought, okay, we can go ahead with this. So gathered a small group of volunteers, one of whom is Nicole Egan, who I would love to pass this over to so she can introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. As Miranda said, I'm Nicole Egan, and nice to meet you all virtually. I'm a communicator, so I've been happy enough and lucky enough to be working from home for the last number of weeks. I guess it's 6 or 7 weeks at this stage. It feels like a new normal that has no real time attached to it, so it's sort of hard to say. But yeah, when Miranda reached out about starting this volunteerism, I thought, what a great idea. And certainly from a communicator's perspective, it was something that I knew that we could both get behind and really think about the nuts and bolts in terms of how we could spread the word and how we could raise some money. And yeah, talking to people is what we do. So it was really nice to be able to take that skill set and sort of say, you know, how can we use this for good in a time when so many of our neighbors are looking for something that they can do? How can we facilitate that?
Excellent. So tell me how it works. Tell me who else works with you. And what really triggered me was not only is this using volunteers, but it's actually helping our businesses locally. What a great idea. So fill me in a bit more.
I'll start with the two other people that are on our sort of loose committee that we're working together on this. When I put the ask on Facebook and said, here's the idea, who would like to help out? Janelle McDougall said she would love to be involved, which was amazing because Janelle works for the VON. So that gave us an entry into healthcare contacts. How do we get a hold of the people that we need to reach to make this happen very quickly? And then Janelle's mother, Lisa Langerap, I had actually worked with on projects before with the Canettes and Terra. And she is the financial brains. So we have to keep her, which was always needed with a project like this. So we put this together. Nicole built a website. I got a FundMe page together. And in the first 5 days, we raised over $1,000. So immediately it was clear that people were looking for a way to help. And this was something tangible that supports two very important sectors. So restaurants who are trying to adapt to takeout only, who have suffered massive revenue losses. Some of them are, you know, short on staff. They can't be open the hours they used to be. They certainly can't do dine-in right now. And so we really wanted to make sure that when we are raising these funds in the community, that it's going back into the community as well.
Right.
And the second piece of that, of course, is acknowledging the sacrifices and saying thank you to frontline healthcare workers, some of whom were sheltering in place in hotels or trailers away from their families so they wouldn't expose them to COVID-19 if they were exposed. And that just creates a whole host of issues too. We certainly can't solve all of that, but if they don't have a kitchen, they're eating, you know, whatever takeout food is available. So we wanted to be able to provide them a meal that they could grab on their break or take home with them, something with a decent shelf life that is home cooked and delicious. And also Avenue A Advertising out in Springmount has donated all of the stickers that we've had with the thank yous on top, identifying what it is, what the ingredients are, how it can be reheated, and saying thank you and acknowledging that we see these people and we appreciate what they're doing.
That sounds amazing. I can't imagine how grateful they must be, because at the end of a shift, or as you heard me say, sometimes they're putting in long hours, sometimes much longer than their normal shift. They're tired. They're tired. And the other thing is we need them to stay healthy, to take care of others, right? So,
absolutely.
So it's critical that we care for them while they care for others. And this sounds like an initiative. So people can donate. Tell me how people can donate. So let's get to the money part here first, and then let's get to the food part and how you can, what restaurants are participating.
So we've got to answer the money part, because we want everybody's money. So we'll get that out there first and foremost. The first thing I would say is that, you know, these are difficult times for lots of people. And so there's no amount that's too small. And it's really important to know that, you know, yes, we're putting money back into the community and restaurants, but we're trying to do that in a reasonable way. So, you know, our average meal cost at this stage has been in and around $10, I think, Miranda. So, you know, even $10 is great. Like that covers somebody's meal. So think about that. And there's a GoFundMe page is the shorter answer to how do I get you some money. We have a website, as Miranda mentioned, and a GoFundMe page, and we've got a Facebook page as well. And on each of those sites, you'll find links to the others. So we make it really easy to take your money.
Now I can't see, good for you. I can't see from my screen if the producer's running the banner, but do you mind just saying the title of the GoFundMe page, or what people would actually type in? Is there a title that they can type in? I think there is. Fueling the Frontline, is that?
Fuelingthefrontline.ca is the website. And if you go there, there's a donate button right on the homepage that will bring you to the GoFundMe link.
Okay. So Fueling the Front, that's the key. Okay, for sure.
And we are sharing updates every 2 or 3 days to let people know where we've been dropping off. We're taking pictures. Nicole is doing a lot of the deliveries and coordinating with the healthcare groups. And she can share some information on who we've been able to deliver to so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a number of deliveries last week, which was really great. And I brought the dog because everybody likes to see Kitty, my wonderful little mate, through all of this. So he's also in those update pictures. And I think maybe that might be part of the reason people like the pictures so much, less about me, more about the dog. But last week we were able to drop off at the ICU at the Owen Sound Hospital. We also dropped at Georgian Heights, if I'm not mistaken, and Kelso Villas, and I am forgetting someone already, which seems crazy to me, but it'll come back. Yeah. I've also been in talks with a number of contacts in Chesley, so that's where we'll be heading next week. Parkview Manor, Chesley Hospital, a couple of other places. So, what's really exciting for me is that we started it's only been a couple of weeks, and we started in Owen Sound, and we had such a great response there. And immediately we've been able to sort of connect with people across both Grey and Bruce counties and sort of start to spread that love so that, it's not just Owen Sound, it's all of our frontline healthcare workers who are hopefully will have a chance to reach out to everybody and sort of, get those thanks to them.
And this afternoon, actually, you're heading to Lee Manor.
Yes, indeed, I am. Yeah, right. 3 o'clock, they will be getting a fantastic drop of delicious wraps from Freshie.
Excellent. So tell me how you pick the restaurants, like what restaurants are involved, and then how do you pick who you're going to deliver to?
So we have reached out to quite a few restaurants, actually. We started just by making a list of who do we think is open right now, and then getting in touch. And a lot of people can't be involved right now because they don't have stock or they don't have staff. So we're really hoping that soon those people will be able to reopen in some capacity. But the first people that we worked with were European Bakery Cafe and CMHA, the Canadian Mental Health Fresh Roots Catering Group. So those were the first meals that we were able to provide, both awesome options. European Bakery Cafe is also doing some sales of milk and eggs and bread and things like that. And they are doing prepared meals that people can pick up a hot meal on a Friday night. So you can find all that on their Facebook. Bleeding Carrot prepared some delicious fresh smoothies that people were super happy to receive. We've also ordered 100 meals, I believe, from Bonfire on Queen, which is a new restaurant in Paisley. Yes, so that's exciting. They're preparing lasagnas. And Freshie is providing 80 wraps today for Lee Manor. And so we're trying to make sure that we're paying these restaurants full rate. We don't expect them to give a discount or anything like that, because the idea of this is to generate some revenue for them in a time when it's really needed. And so far, we've been able to, with the support of the community, be able to fund over 300 meals, which I think is incredible.
Wow. In just a couple of weeks?
In just a few weeks. We just started this in mid-April.
Wow. That gives me goosebumps. That is just amazing. So you're hoping more and more restaurants will have an interest in, and not just in the Owen Sound area, but in other areas, right? So it helps local communities as well with their restaurants.
Absolutely.
And so if you sort of are picking, or can someone, nominate some place for you to take?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've got a couple of ways that you can reach out to us. So back to the website, there's an outreach form on there, and we have had a couple of contacts through there making suggestions on either places, primarily thus far, I think it's been places that we can deliver to rather than restaurants who might be interested in working with us, but absolutely it could be used for either of those things. I think for us, Miranda already mentioned, there's a lot of places that aren't open either because it's just not their season yet or they've had to close down. So we're really hoping that we'll see more restaurants available and open to doing this sort of thing. And we've started talks in Wyerton. Once we raise some more cash, we'll get some more meals happening out there. But I think we're really open to hearing from people. So, whether it's a healthcare provider that they'd like to suggest, or they're from a restaurant they'd like to do it, or if there's somebody who wants to donate their time and do some of the pickups and drop-offs, we're open to that as well, for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about the actual mechanism for the delivery. Now you mentioned, Nicole, you're behind the wheel with your dog going delivering. So I'm wondering, how do you drop this off? Do you just sort of ring a bell and say, food's up, come and get it? Or how do you do this?
So we've been coordinating with the healthcare providers in advance. So typically I'll reach out and find who the best person on the shift is. It's typically someone in admin who will coordinate, okay, you're going to be here at such and such a time. We'll be here to take the meals off you. And then they make sure that there's refrigeration and such inside and ready for everybody because, a lot of the time we're looking at big numbers. So certainly today when I dropped to Lee Manor, finding somewhere to put 80 wraps is something that had to be done before today. As much as we'd love to sort of do that, like, surprise, we're here with great food, that's not practical, right? So there's been a lot of phone calls happening in the background, and a lot of help from admin staff across the healthcare sector for sure.
I do want to mention too, we have a local sewer who created 10 masks. So Nicole and I have masks to wear when we're going to these places. We're seeing a lot of people, certainly the healthcare workers, but even on the admin side, people are learning to wear those fabric masks. Even though it's not going to protect us from exposure, it will protect others from any germs that we may have, which we are isolating very carefully and trying to make sure that when we do go to these places, we are washed up, we have hand sanitizer with us, we're wearing a mask, and we're not entering the building.
Okay. Yeah, no, sounds great. So the restaurants, they're preparing larger numbers of food at a time. Who decides what to prepare? Or do you just say, go, you choose? Do you have a menu? Do you guys suggest? What happens?
Not really. We've approached them and said, what is possible for you to do right now that you could do in a large batch? Because they may not be getting their regular Cisco delivery or order in. And so we're trying to give them maybe a week lead time and say, what could you do within about a $10 budget that would have a decent shelf life so that if it's not all gone on the first shift when we drop it off, and some of the places we are trying to plan that we're dropping off enough for 2 or 3 shifts, so that if people aren't actually on when we do the drop off, they might still enjoy a nice treat and know that people are thinking about them. So things like lasagna, we have dropped off some shepherd's pie. The freshie wraps hold really well. Janet got in touch with us after seeing our GoFundMe campaign, so that was great. And of course the smoothies, which they were made fresh right before we dropped them off. So things like that they're not going, like a salad may not be appropriate because it's going to wilt in a few hours. But just keep that people might want to grab it at the end of their shift. They might not even have time for a break. So something that'll hold and they can warm up later. Yeah.
And basically it's for whoever wants to have the meal and it's available because it's a different world. Restaurants will cater to special dietary requirements, but you're not able to do that, at this point, I wouldn't think. Or am I assuming something I shouldn't assume?
Well, we can. So like the bleeding carrot smoothies are vegan. So we were able to say that those are gluten-free. We can say with the European Bakery Cafe that some options were meat-free, things like that. So we've tried to be specific in the labeling and work with the restaurant to make sure we understand what it is they're preparing in case people have questions like that.
Yeah. And you mentioned again, did you mention Avenue A was the group that printed the labels. Is that correct?
Yes, I was talking to Deb Shaw, who's a fantastic supporter of the community in different projects that I've done. And I just reached out to her and said, I don't think I can do this on my home printer. What would the cost be to have something like this done up? And she said, nothing, just send them in, And after the first week, I said, are you sure you want to keep doing this? And she said, yeah, we're happy to sponsor them. So when we talk to the restaurants, we figure out what it is that's being prepared, make up the label, and just email it to her. And then she has it on her desk the next day, printed out for us. It's amazing.
The networking and the behind the scenes community engagement to make this work is phenomenal. So what are you hearing back from the restaurants, and what are you hearing back from the people that you've delivered to?
Well, from the restaurants, it's been a great reception. They are happy to be thought of, and we're trying to make Facebook posts and share pictures and let people know that, these people are open. These are the steps they're taking to do contactless delivery or pickup. You can pay online. You can order this way. These are the hours they're open, so that people know that those options are still there. Especially, we've been, I love home cooking, but we've been cooking for ourselves for 6 weeks now, and people are getting bored with our own food. So there are some places open where you can have these other options, and we want to make sure that part of what we're doing for them is spreading awareness too. And then Nicole has received some absolutely heart-touching comments from healthcare workers. They're just so happy to be thought of.
Yeah, there's been really great feedback, and whether we get that through, contacts in the health sector, or we've gotten a couple of messages in through the Facebook page, people are just like, this is a great program, and thanks so much. And not just our healthcare workers, but also the people who've been able to donate and say, I wanted to do something. I wanted to make a lasagna and take it over to the long-term care home, but obviously that's not practical because of food safety and all sorts of different things. So, I think we're really hearing that people are delighted to be involved. And the restaurants as well. I think, so I mentioned earlier, we're working on getting something into Wyerton next week. And so I reached out to a few contacts. And one of the people that I reached out to, Anne-Marie Hadcock, has a food truck called Sandwiches. And so the food truck isn't operational right now. It's licensed in Georgian Bluffs, but obviously she's not in a position where she would be selling food at a skate park because that's not appropriate. But I was able to reach out to the municipality and say, look, could we leverage the fact that there is a license in place at that venue, have her do the cooking there, and then I'll pick it up and drop off as normal, even without her being open. So, I think we're thinking differently, and certainly she was really happy to get on board, even though it doesn't mean for her, a bounce to business. And the municipality was like, great, we're really happy to be able to help, and we'll spread the word as well. So I think, by and large, everything we've heard has been positive, and it's all about, what can we do to help, whether it's donating or whether it's just spreading the word, because even sharing the page and spreading the word and telling people what we're doing is huge.
Exactly. And I think for sure it is about the messaging. What I'm hearing you say, a lot of out of the box thinking, like you're being so creative about options. Who would think a food truck, prepare the food, and instead of them go to the person, you're going to them, to your wheels, which is amazing for sure. What are the lessons you've learned so far in this exciting adventure?
Well, I think for me, we started this thinking, okay, there's a practical, tangible need to fill here. And it's really become more about the emotional support and gratitude that people really want to express this in some way to a healthcare worker. So I think in this area, we've been quite fortunate that we haven't had a massive outbreak in ICU, but it's no less stressful for our healthcare workers to keep showing up every day. Some of them with small kids at home that they're trying to homeschool, they're maybe staying away from their family. And they just have to keep showing up and doing their job to make sure that we don't have that massive outbreak. And that is so stressful. So we're hearing from them that they are really grateful to be thought of and for the community to be acknowledging the sacrifices that they're making. And so that's been really eye-opening for me, that even though we haven't had this, big outbreak, it's really thanks to them that that's not happening. And so many people in the community were looking for a way to thank them for that. And this is giving them an outlet, which is awesome.
Will you have enough energy and enough hands? Because the longer we go on, the longer this seems to be. They keep pushing the deadlines when we're. How are you both handling this, and will you have the energy to sustain this?
I think, the short answer is absolutely, right? Like, we're both lucky enough to be working from home. So for me, normally I would be back and forth to Toronto a couple of days a week in Commerce Court. I work for CIBC in corporate communications there. So, I've been lucky enough to do that all from home, and even not commuting is a significant amount of energy saved. And you know what, like there's that piece of you that also says, like, this feels great. It's really wonderful to be able to help. And there's an energy boost and a serotonin boost that comes from that. So, I don't see us slowing down or getting tired. If anything, the more success we see, the more energized certainly I've been so far. We're refreshing our GoFundMe page all the time, going, look at this, there's dollars coming in. That's great. How do we allocate them and do more? So, I think we know that this is the new normal, at least for the foreseeable future. We're not anticipating a June finish or anything like that. So we really want to keep the word out there and make sure that we are getting a steady stream of donations and a steady stream of restaurants on board. And we will probably come to a point where we need some more drivers. And so by all means, anybody watching, reach out to us about that too.
Yeah. And Miranda, for you, how will you be?
Same. I mean, for me, I work for software companies in the States. So I've been working from home for 15 years now. I am fortunate in that my kids are 12 and 14. They're fairly self-sufficient. They are actually really into doing their schoolwork online. So there hasn't been a massive adjustment. I think I was an introvert before this, and that'll continue. And like Nicole said, as we see it building, it's exciting and it's something good to share. And so I know part of my sort of coping strategy with this whole thing has been reducing the number of times that I check the news per day. And that constant onslaught of, worry and anxiety was getting really hard to handle. And so this is giving us something really great to focus on, something local. We know these people, these are people in our own community. It's something tangible that we can do to make a difference. And that is actually, I think, helping both of us out quite a bit right now.
Definitely. Wonderful. I can't believe our half hour is up. I want to thank both of you very much. And wonderful initiative. Encourage people to go to Fueling the Frontline, donate time, money, anything, for sure. Thank you, and thank you, everyone, for watching the program today to learn more about this community initiative. Take care, stay safe, take care of each other. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media. This is Rogers TV, Grey County.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.